Hello dear ones, here I am again after only 3 days. I'm disappointed. My last video doesn't seem to be very successful, and I always look at them afterwards and think, well, was that good? You know, self-analysis is very difficult, isn't it? So I always sort of hope they're going to be interesting, but this one hasn't been. I don't know why, unless it was a little bit dour. It's a good word, a North Country word. I've been looking at my other videos and I think the best ones are the ones with the humour in them, the light-hearted fun ones, or the ones about sex. My favourite subject. Well, I can't do a video about sex, obviously, but, well, not obviously, but it's a difficult subject, isn't it? But I am going to talk a bit about it because I had a very weird dream again this morning. I do have peculiar dreams in the morning. I have my breakfast, then I go back to bed for some healing and doing all my stuff, and I drop off, and that's when I have the weird dreams. So I think I must go into the astral plane, and obviously that's a time for clearing, I guess. But this dream was, well, it was revealing in a way, and yet not surprising, because it was I had a dream about a young man that I was with sexually, although nothing happened. It was just I was aware that I was with him, and we were leading up to something, and it all kind of fell apart. And I analysed it after. I thought, well, yes, he was my friend who's gay. So although we like each other, there's obviously no sex. So, you know, I had a friend, and she used to say to me she had two men friends, one for sex and one for friendship. Anyway, this was about the dream, and I was aware that I was been travelling through all, you can't call them relationships really, I don't know what they've been. I was married for 24 years to a man I think was probably gay, I don't know, but it wasn't a very happy marriage at all, hence the trouble with my daughter, I think. So I mean, I know we choose these, I know all the theory, but I'm just talking to you now emotionally about, you know, how difficult life is in relationships. And it's kind of, I suppose, a video about encouraging women to stand up for themselves, you know. It's still very much a man's world. And to be quite honest, this is no disrespect to the men. There are lots of lovely men out there, I'm sure, but I never met one. The ones I meet are like mother's boys. They're wimps. They're hung up on their mothers, or they're angry at their wives. And the last man friend I had, his wife apparently, now he told me this, he'd been married for 40 years. He was 72 when I met him. Still good at sex though, believe it or not. Well, once I got at him. Anyway, he told me his wife would always get undressed in the bathroom, and he'd never seen a naked woman, so there was me prancing around, and he hid under the covers. But he was so inept, he hadn't got a clue. I mean, he'd been married for so many years, but of course he'd never had much sex with his wife. So it was disappointing really, and of course he went astray. I think I've told you this, but I don't know, it's not anyone's fault, it's me, because of my belief systems, you see. This is what I'm going through at the moment, checking out belief systems in that area. I think the sexual stuff is coming to the surface. I've written a book which I'm hoping to get published about a personal experience, but it's to do, I think it's to do with not men or women. It's to do with self-value. Value yourself, and if you're no good at it, don't bother. Or take classes, to go read a book on tantra, because nothing's worse. I mean, men tend to blame women if it's not happening. Once a man told me that I was what do you call it, impotent. They're not impotent, something else, and it was his fault. It's usually the man's fault if he can't get a woman to respond properly. It's usually his fault, and they always want to blame the woman because she can't perform properly, the same as they do. I mean, they're two totally different sexual beings, aren't they? I mean, a man can be very quick and at it and up them. You know what I mean? And a woman takes a bit longer. Well, it depends, if you know what I mean, but the two just don't match the energies. The man with his testosterone, you know, and the woman has got more sort of laid back about things, and she needs more mental stimulation than physical, I think. You've got to, you know, talk to somebody, get on with them, be nice to them. I don't mean buy flowers and things like that. I mean, try and get in touch with the woman, her mentality and her emotional self, you know, before you start poking around. I know a lot of women, that's something else. I was telling you about this dream, but all these different men. I mean, I do sound like a bit of a loose woman, but once I left my husband, of course, I was off. You know? And I do like younger men. Well, of course I do. They're more like, I think the younger generation is more in tune with women than the older generation. They're very masochistic still, I feel. But the younger men are much more equal because they're in touch with the heart, their feeling centres, aren't they? But this dream was about all the, I thought, my God, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? All these peculiar men, what on earth was I attracting? Why did I even think about having, because I wasn't there, I wasn't in my, I wasn't conscious. I was acting from a very old pattern, I guess, and of course I'd been abused as a child, sexually abused. I'm not going into that, but that sets up a very negative pattern for womanhood, you know, and especially if you don't know about it until you get much older. So this is about, I don't know, finding out your own sexuality, and you know, nothing to be criticised or judged or anything like that. Just do what's right for you, you know. As I said in my last video, or one before, be careful. You know, just choose your men properly. Don't jump into bed with anyone because you don't know where they've been and what they're up to, and you could pick up all their stuff. I've done a video, I'll put a link in, about the Madonna and whore syndrome, which is men love to, they fall in love with the women, they see them as this Madonna, you know, oh lovely, air hostesses, nurses and so forth. Men, they're children really, you know, they are really children, and they want a mum, they don't want another woman, another mother, they want, well they do want another mother, but a mother is going to give them exactly what they want. That's another story, isn't it? That's another story, what do you call it? Anyway, just get a bit sidetracked like I do. What was I talking about? Oh yes, the Madonna hole. And then once they get married, of course, things change. Kids come along, woman goes to work, she's knackered, she don't want sex, or he doesn't want, he's usually the one that doesn't want sex because he's working all hard all day and at a computer probably, wearing himself out. He's got no testosterone left, so he can't manage it. So he's the one with the headache. Unless he finds somebody else, of course. That's when it works. Because he doesn't want the same old woman. I had a friend, you know, honest, I can remember him now. He was a very good looking man, very good at languages, but a total idiot, really. He had something, one of the chromosomes missing, and he had one of these social problems. He couldn't relate to people very well, but he was full of sex and a very attractive man. And he used to say, you have to have a bit of fresh flesh. That's what he called it, bless him. So, I don't know, I think this video is about, not that, I suppose a lot of women are, maybe they feel failures, I don't know, but the question, you know, is the man, the energy right for you, you know? This is something else, isn't it? You know, you can really fancy somebody, but they're no good for you. Or that's usually the case, women like the bastards, don't they? I do. The difficult ones, the ones that are challenges, that don't really want you, you're sort of trying to pursue them. I was watching a film the other day, what was it called? Oh yeah, it was a video about a drug dealer, and it was an interesting video, Harrison Ford. And there was a woman in it, and she had this new boyfriend who was Latin, and she was looking for him, running after him, looking at him. I thought, you silly bitch. I mean, it was the way women look at men, as though they adore them, and men love it. Of course they love it, but it's not. The woman's not valuing herself, is she? Why does she do that? I mean, I watch so many films and I sit in front of my TV, God, silly bitch. You know, adoring this man and running after him, listening to what he's saying and holding his hand and rubbing his back. And forgive me this morning, I'm in that sort of mood. This last man friend that I had, who died about 10 years ago actually, we were very compatible sexually, but he was an idiot. He was angry with his wife because she hadn't given him sex, so he was angry with me. He's actually quite violent at times. I don't say, well, how, but he was a very angry man because he hadn't had a happy marriage. His wife didn't understand him, and he probably was no good at sex, really, no wonder. I mean, she wasn't getting it properly, and he couldn't do it properly, and you know, it's very sad, isn't it? It is so sad that women don't. Well, of course, women should be teaching a man what to do. It's their fault as well, you know. Men are pretty hopeless. They're born with this thing, and it's wonderful. What to do with it is the problem. And women, you know, get a book and sort them out. You know, sort them out, tell them what you want. It's no good. They don't know. They don't know the fine arts of it all. I mean, a man can just Well, this is why they're good to prostitutes. There's no messing about, no foreplay. They go straight in, no messing. £100, and it is about, what, 200 I think for intercourse, I don't know. Anyway, I looked into that once. I used to ring them up and find out what they were about. I said to this man friend who went very astray, I said, look, I said, if you pay me, you get sex and love. You get sex free with me, but not from them. If you start to pay me, maybe I'll do some different things. I'm in a silly mood, but this will make you laugh. The last one didn't make you laugh, obviously. So here we are. What time is it now? Gosh, it's 10 minutes, so I rabbit on. But yeah, I mean, women, you know, if a man is not fulfilling you, and he's for lots of reasons, question it. It's not your fault, you know. He can't get you, you know, whatever. He doesn't spend enough time with you. He doesn't talk to you. He doesn't value you. It's value. And of course, some women are the same. I'm talking to women as well, you know, men as well. And both of you, you know that. I told you this story, didn't I, once about this man friend of mine, my IT engineer chap. This is a true story. He said most men these days, and he's in his 50s, I think, rather than taking a woman out for a meal and paying, and they are expensive, I know, meal out, lunches, this sort of thing, and not getting anything out of it, he'd rather pay a prostitute and get his sex. That's where the majority of men he knows, I'm saying that he knows, where they're at. No emotions, no feelings, just a bit of sex, and just paying out and leave it alone, you know, because a man can't do that. I mentioned this on my last video. He can have sex and walk away without a second thought. Women can't do that so much. I don't know how the women prostitutes manage. They do get involved with the men, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. I could go on, as you know. Yeah, so it's an interesting subject, isn't it? But it's a question of, it's nobody's fault if it doesn't work out, you know. I mean, some women are good at it and some aren't, and some men are good and some aren't. It's finding the, Barry Long said that women go find your key, men go find your locks. It's finding the right person for you, the right energy, the right techniques and whatever. And if it's not right, well, show them, teach them, you know, take a bit on board. Wear a black bra. Always works. Okay, my darlings, I'm going to go for now. I hope that made you laugh. Take care. Oh, I think it's Happy Chinese New Year, isn't it? Year of the Rabbit. That's interesting. Look what rabbits are up to.